in, I wanted to
Done.
kind of showcase a build that I tweaked that was having some trouble. Now, in a perfect world, any of the other build guides probably do work out. But if you're like me and you don't have a insane amount of money to drop to get everything perfect, you might find yourself in a situation where when you go to
Yes.
take a build offline, you end up not being able to complete it because you don't
Gold is
have the
useless to
currency
me.
available
Take it.
to buy things that are worth thousands of divines or mirrors and so forth. So, what I'm going to show you now is how, on a budget, I took
Indeed.
two different builds, well, two different things from two different builds, and I combined them in order to make something that actually worked for me on the budget that I have. Now, until I get more money, this is where I am now, and I will just upgrade as I go along. My first upgrade is going to be a
You speak.
410 Divine Support Gem that lets your critical hits on Flicker Strike bifurcate.
Indeed.
And that is a really
Go on.
big deal for the build because currently the burn is
A
absolutely
useful trade.
astounding, but it gets even more fantastic and phenomenal if you can afford
Time
that
is of the essence.
expensive support gem. So, since I don't have a Mobalytics to link for you guys down here, I'm just going to tell you the name of what the larger portion of this build is from. Okay? And that'll allow you to look that up on YouTube, and then you can have your Mobalytics on YouTube guide you the rest of the way. Okay? So, the name of the build that this is mostly based off of is called Nuke Stormwave plus Flicker Invoker. Okay? Nuke Stormwave plus Flicker Invoker. Now, this is no longer a Stormwave build, as I find that Stormwave is not good enough to keep me alive when shit is going cray-cray and hitting the fan. So what I needed was something that was going to be able to hurt stuff real bad, but not actually mess up, get me killed and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Maybe if my defenses were higher, that wouldn't be the case, but they're not, so I had to make a change,
Speak.
and I found something that's
As
working
expected.
for me.
Go.
Let's first start with my passive tree, okay? You take a good look here. I'll hold the camera still for a moment on the upper part, and I'll do the same with the bottom so you guys can see. Take a little snapshot, and then you can follow it. And then down here. So at level 95, I'm coming out, I'm grabbing Flow Like Water. Going over here and grabbing Mindful Awareness and one down into Evasion Energy Shield. Coming up to the top left here, I'm grabbing Crashing Wave. Going over here, we're going to split in two directions. We're going to go up first. We're going up to grab Moment of Truth. Then we're going in here to grab Power Within. Follow this around, grab whatever nodes you need for your attributes. Coming down here, you grab Critical Exploit. Going next to it, you come down here to the right, first to the left, then to the right, grabbing Melding. Then you go in here, branching off down, grabbing Rapid Recharge, and then coming down, grabbing Pure Energy. You're going to come up here, and this is solely for the purpose of getting this gem slot. Now, coming back down here, you're going to come to the right, go up, and grab Concussive, going to the left up there. Then you're going to come down here and go to the left and grab Mystic Stance. Okay, faster start, energy shield, 30% stun threshold, full life. You're going to come up here and you're going to come down and grab Killer Instinct. Alright, and then you're going to come up here, and you're going to go to the right, grab True Strike, go to the left, grab for the Jugular, and then come here, grab the top and the bottom into Deadly Force. Come back down here, go up. I went up and grabbed this, because this was actually a really big deal. I got a bug in the game right now. It's not showing you what it is. But what this does is it gives you energy shield based on how much evasion you have on your chest piece. And that actually gave me some hundreds of evasion. I think like 400 energy shield extra, which I needed. So I used the point to grab that. Coming over here, grab Overflowing Power. Coming up to the left, you're going to go in, you're going to grab Careful Assassin. You're going to come up a little further, grab Chaos Inoculation, so you don't have to worry about Chaos or bleeding damage. You're going to deal with Energy Shield and evasion rating. Then you come up here and just grab this gem slot, so you could throw a From Nothing in here, which allows you to come to this side of the tree and grab, with one passive point, Storm Charged. That frees up your necklace to be able to give you this. So you're using the necklace to get, where is it? This, Lust for Power. This is how you get 8 power charges. Okay? Now you're going to come over here and you grab Overflowing Power. You're going to come down here, grab Throat Seeker. I came in here because I'm not really doing elemental damage anymore. I switched the build, so I took out of any elemental damage bonuses and went for flat bonuses. In here you got your attack speed and also a knockback if you crit an enemy. Very useful to keeping you alive. Knockback can definitely keep you alive when you're squishy. Coming down here, you grab Martial Artistry. I did put these points in here instead of the critical chance to the critical damage bonus. I find doing more critical damage bonus is a little bit better at the point of how much crit I have. Come down here to the left, grab Stupefy, and then over here to the right, grab Dizzying Hits, and then you got your gem here, and then you're going to come over here and you're going to grab everything Heartstopper, Struck Through, and come back down and grab Heartbreaking. Then you're going to come down here and grab Coming Calamity. This is a lot stronger than it seems like it is. This doesn't make your Herald stronger. It makes you do more damage based on Herald. As a matter of fact, I just realized
let's try something
that
different.
I don't need this anymore because I'm not doing the elemental version. I'm not using Stormwave. So this basically increases your cold, fire, and lightning damage by 40%, but I'm not actually doing that much elemental damage anymore, so I just freed myself up 3 points. Now, those 3 points, there's a lot of options, things that I can do here. I can go for a little bit more attack speed. I tend to want to go more into survivability, though. Because the character is extremely strong, and I just find myself really needing more. So what I'm going to do is, this is 28% increased maximum energy shield, and you get additional ailment threshold and stun hold threshold from this. I'm going to come down here and grab that. And with my 3rd point, I'm going to go ahead and I could grab the energy recharge rate, or let's see, what could we do? What's the most beneficial here? I know I shouldn't be doing this on the actual guide. Energy, evasion shield. I think I'm going to go for something that just boosts it. There's got to be something somewhere. What's this? Evasion rating. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to go ahead and, for now, I'm going to grab more crit chance. Okay? So, here's critical damage bonus. I'm going to grab that instead. Okay, so that actually just made the build a little bit better with the way I have it set up. Now let's go to the skills. Alright, I'm running Elemental Expression. However, I just realized I don't need to run that anymore. So I'm going to come back down over here, and I am going to yank out Elemental Expression, because that just simply doesn't happen anymore. I'm also going to take that out, don't need that. This is 10% of extra damage as lightning damage, and meditate. What does that do again? Okay, you can recharge your energy shield faster. I have potions because of Chevron's belt, so I don't need that. So what I'm thinking here is okay. This one here is 10% as extra cold damage. That'll go with the 10% as extra lightning damage. I could do critical hits, ignore monster resistances. These are both elemental damage. This gives me evasion rating. Physical damage reduction from armor is based on your combined armor and evasion rating. 33% evasion rating. No, I don't want that. So, I guess there isn't a lot of options for the way that I'm doing the build. So what I'll end up doing is I'll go down here for the crit chance, and then my crits ignore elemental resistances. I can't really see anywhere else to put that. Now, coming into here, I no longer have elemental expression, so let's go ahead and drop that. Okay.
Go on.
Alright, my main ability is Whirling Assault. I had to switch to this because Storm Wave was getting me killed. I would get in a situation where I was cornered, and I would be trying to shoot Storm Wave out. It would only be going in front of me, and I just need to be hurting everything around me. And so far, this is the best thing to hit everything around you that I know of. So what I put in Whirling Assault to make it really uber, when I'm doing it constantly on the enemies, I put Rage 3, make it faster. Also stack Rage, that's how I'm getting Rage. Rage makes you do more damage. Heavy Swing for the 35% more melee damage, 10% less attack speed. Heft for 30% more maximum physical hit. Ancestral Call, so every 3 seconds it's 30% stronger. And I have Armor Break 3. Break armor equal to 20% of the physical damage dealt, plus I get an endurance charge. Don't know if that's doing anything for me, but I might as well use the 3 and not the 2. They're both the same except for that. Now here is the boss killer, Flicker Strike. This uses Perpetual Charge, so sometimes when you use it, you'll go through all 8 power charges and still have 8 power charges when it's done. However, because I have Excise on it, 40% more critical hit chance, it does have an 8-second cooldown. I put Overextend. I become dazed when I crit with it, but my critical damage bonus is 30% more. Ambrosia, the skill consumes 14% of max mana flask charges on use, and it gets 2% of damage as extra lightning damage per mana flask charge consumed. And then I have Inexorable Crit. When I'm not using it, it just starts to stack every second up to 100% increased crit chance. One of these gems is going to be replaced by the support gem that's 410 divines that bifurcates. Now we have Charge Staff, very powerful at 8 power charges. Lasts a long time too, 50-something seconds. So Charge Staff has got Culling Strike 2. This also increases the culling threshold for 20 seconds when you use it on enemies. Thrill the Kill, 25% extra lightning as extra lightning damage when you call an enemy with it. Innervate, 25% as extra lightning damage for 5 seconds when you kill an enemy. Lightning Attunement, 25% as extra lightning damage. And then we have Magnified Area just to make it a little bit bigger. there's some room for adjustment here. So I'm also using Herald of Ash with Fire Mastery and Magnified Area. I'm using Herald of Thunder with Elemental Armament 2, Lightning Attunement, 25 extra lightning damage. This is 25% more elemental damage. Long Shot, 35% more damage for faraway enemies. Magnified Area 2, just to make it a little bigger, each bolt. And then Lightning Mastery. My Infernal Cry, which I use before I prep for boss, makes you uber strong. Has Raging Cry, so it grants 4 rage per 5 power counted. And your minions count as power. And then we have Enraging War Cry, which spends 15 rage to bypass the cooldown instead of an endurance charge. And then we have Second Wind, which gives me 2 charges. It allows you to cast this twice before you go in to fight the boss. Now, I'm not using the cast on crit from that listed build. I decided to spare myself that slot and use Profane Ritual myself to gain charges. So on my Profane Ritual, I have Charge Perfusion 2, 30% chance to get additional charge and other charges. I have Unleash, which has that seal thing and gets you more charges quickly from bodies. Magnify Area 2, even more charges at one time. Corpse Conservation, sometimes corpses don't disappear. Compressed Duration, this allows you to get the charges faster because you only get the charge when the ritual is complete. So by compressing the duration, the ritual is complete faster, and that gets you the charges faster. I have Sacrifice, a persistent buff that lets you use your minions as if they were corpses. It has to be active on both bars. This is recommended. This is actually what I got from a guy that helped me big time yesterday. I was really, really squishy with the build, and I decided to get rid of Cast on Crit because it takes a lot of reservation on your spirit, and put on Wind Dancer and Ghost Dance. So I get stacks, and then my energy shield starts recharging and gives it back to me quickly. And I put compressed duration so the stacks go up faster. And these are important too. He introduced me to these. Strong-hearted, 50% less shock duration on you. Cool-headed, 50% less ignite duration on you. Warm-blooded, 50% less freeze duration on you. And I put Clarity 1 with a little bit of extra spirit head left over. On my Wind Dancer, I have Blind 2 and 20% increase on that one to the effect of Blind to make enemies miss you, not hit you. Supported attacks will always Maim. I got Maim on hit, makes enemies do less damage. I got Pin. Most of the time, I don't really see this work, but it ends up just having more critical hit chance, and it blows enemies up sometimes really good. Plus, if you could pin them, they won't be able to hit you when you're moving away from them. They can't follow you for a moment. And then Magnified Area 2, so it just hits more enemies around me when it does go off. So that's the mix of the abilities that I'm using. Now, for the gear that I'm using, my staff is a Sinister Quarterstaff. I have 204 increased physical damage on it, 233 lightning damage on it. There's some accuracy on there, 199. I got 25% increased attack speed, so it's a 1.75 attack speed. I have leeching 7.25% of physical damage as mana. You do kind of need a lot of that. Also causes 60% stun buildup. I find that to be useful to stop enemies from attacking you consistently. My secondary weapon bar is specifically my pre-boss buff up before I basically Flicker Strike it to death on the first Flicker Strike. It only ever takes 2, but you could do it on the first if I remember the sequence correctly, because it has to do with the shout that you do. As long as you do the Infernal Cry just before you attack the boss with it, you end up really doing an insane amount of damage. It's absolutely it's crazy. It really is. So, the scepter on the back bar, I did get one that required 71 intelligence. I tried to get a reduction to that. You're really doing it just for the spirit to be able to summon more skeletons, so all this extra shit on it doesn't really matter. You can get anything you want. just get one with a lot of spirits so you can summon a lot of skeletons on the back bar only. We have the shield in the back bar. I'm just using it because I happen to be holding a scepter. I'm never actually on the back bar to use this, so it doesn't really matter, except enemies in the presence count as having double power, and that works with what I'm doing with the skeletons to pre-buff myself before I do the Flicker Strike on the boss. This actually works with the enraging, the Infernal Cry. So this shield is mandatory. It doesn't matter how good the shield is, like the version of it. You can buy the cheapest one, and as long as it's this shield, the Red Blade Banner, it's going to make you do more damage with the Flicker Strike. My helmet, I recently changed to this. I had a very high energy shield helmet. I bought this one for 100 divines because it gives me 30% increased crit chance. All my skill gems now require no attributes at all, so I don't have to worry about that. However, I can't create a new skill gem. I can't cut one unless my stat is high enough to cut it, so I ended up having to buy ones if I need them from the market. Also, 28% chance to inflict ailments. That's not necessarily that great anymore since I made the adjustments on the build, but that's alright. And then +3 to level of all skills. That's the big deal, really. Also, +1 to maximum power charges. On my chest piece, I have an evasion and energy chest piece, 1290, 492. There's some movement speed on there. I'm using the chest piece for evasion and energy shield to get spirit from my ascendancy, but everything else about it has to do with making sure your resistances are capped, except obviously chaos, because you're a chaos inoculate. My necklace has the Lust for Power allocated on it. I've got increased energy shield, the number and the percentage, +3 to level of melee skills. There's some attributes on there, which I no longer need because of the helmet, but it has a nice 30% increased global defenses. That also increases your energy shield. So this necklace by itself is actually giving me a crazy amount of energy shield, even though it doesn't seem like it is. It does. My left ring is an unset ring for an extra skill slot. You need at least one of those. It's got 168 lightning damage on attacks, some increased lightning damage. There's room for adjustment here to make it better. It's got 72 maximum life. I don't need life, so there's a lot of room for adjustment here. Intelligence, don't need that. I could definitely get a ring that does more damage. That's better than this one for sure. It has the leech on it, physical attack damage and magic, and I do feel like every bit of leech that I have I do need. This other ring is a breach ring. It's got 2 to 33 fire damage with attacks, 32 to 50 cold damage with attacks. Again, if I could switch to a different ring that has increased physical damage, that will now be the ideal scenario for this build. Although, still, adding fire and cold damage to attacks is good because it does scale very well with additional damage to scale. Got a little bit of maximum magic on there, 100. Got my resistances, using that to cap it. And there's an increased skill speed on there, which is actually kind of useful. The gloves I have are evasion, pure evasion gloves, and they have a attack speed rune in them. Actually, I think it's an idol. It's basically a rune. And then I have 2 to 40 lightning damage to attacks. I have 152 maximum life. Don't need that anymore. I have +2 to level of all melee skills. Got my fire resistance capped with this because of that. And then 8.5% of physical damage attack as magic leached back to me. So between the staff, this ring, and these gloves, I have 8, 13, and I have over 20% leech on magic physical damage. Now, because I am doing physical damage things, I don't need OSINs in order to make it elemental leech instead of physical. My belt is Chevron Satchel. I feel like it's an absolute necessity because this allows your life recovery to now apply to energy shield from your flask. So then you grab yourself a flask because the flask will not recharge the energy shield with any recharge over time. It only works for the instant aspect of it. So what you're going to do is you're going to get the one that has no heal over time. 100% of the flask is instant but reduced amount recovered. That's the way to go. get the one with as many charges as you possibly can. It's extremely useful to have 12 charges on it. Then my mana potion, I like this one particularly because when the mana is low, it gives you 81% more, almost double the magic back, and it has a lot of extra charges. Could stand to have a little more, but so far it's been working really good for me, and sometimes you do need to pop your potion. For my boots, I have movement speed 35%, and everything else is basically just trying to make sure I cap out the resistances. So I have fire on there. There's a stun threshold on there that's extremely useful as well. Getting stun locked and killed in this game is a very common thing. If you don't have something that prevents that. As far as charms, I'm using a stone charm here that grants guard and also increases charges gained by 59%, 371 guard. And then also here I have the Nascent Hope Thawing charm. When I become frozen, it starts your energy shield right away to be recharged if you get frozen. Very useful. Very, very useful. Okay, so that's the gear for the character. And those are the skills, and that's the passives. And when you go to fight a boss, I switch to my back bar here. On PlayStation, you got front and back bar. I switch my back bar here, and you eat up your skeletons. Get yourself your 8 charges. You have to come back to the front bar, so you just cast this to come back to the front bar. Go back to the back bar, hit your shield block button, summon your skeletons again, and then you hit War Cry 2 times. And now, as the boss just activates, you hit your Flicker Strike, and the boss is dead instantly. You do not need to have charged staff in order to nuke the boss. You absolutely do not need this. In order to have this, at the same time, you have 8 power charges. You cannot have your Infernal Cry. And that is not as good damage as having a double Infernal Cry up. Okay? And it's also important that you have all your skeletons back when you do Infernal Cry. Because the more skeletons there are, the more of an added fire damage to Flicker Strike you get from having them there. So you're boosting your damage by hundreds of extra damage as fire damage when you do that to the Flicker Strike. And in that respect, charged staff, even with 8 stacks, does not compare whatsoever with 8 power charge stacks. It doesn't even compare. The damage is way, way less, a fraction less than what it is if you do the other way. So that's specifically only for bosses. But you always want charged staff on when you're running around the map to just destroy everything. Now, to show you the build in action.
Go on. I will make use of this. Go.
Okay, what better way to show you than to go into a 10-round trial where you can get an item, if you beat it, that's worth somewhere between 22 and 26 divines, depending on the market. So we'll put this in here. This would get you 8 ascendancy points if you didn't have them, if you did this. And I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic while I do this, because if I try to talk at the same time, I could get myself killed. It's a very common thing that I do. So, but out of the 3 things to pick here, I don't recommend allowing Stalking Shade. You definitely don't want the enemies not to be able to be stunned or slowed. So since we have Blood Globulus, this is very easy to get out of the way of. I would take that.
Masses before you. Challenger, prove yourself worthy of chaos. Ravage!
Now, the build is not the most impressive when you're fighting ads. it is when you're doing like
This is just
abyssals
the
and getting
beginning.
overrun by monsters. I'll take this monster gains damage as added chaos damage since I'm completely immune to chaos damage. But monsters inflicting grasping vines is actually a good one to get if you don't have this available with chaos inoculation. But I'll go with
Strike
this since that
without
doesn't actually
fear.
hurt me.
If you can.
One of the things about Flicker Strike is if you try to start casting it and you get hit by an enemy, it will stop you from casting it. So there's a little bit of a learning curve at making sure when you want to use it, you don't go to cast it and get interrupted out of it.
This is just a warm-up.
50% increased damage added as extra chaos damage. Doesn't matter. Can't take chaos damage. And if you had to pick between these other two, I would definitely go with the 40% reduced life energy shield recovery rate. The boss is dealing more damage and taking less damage. Maybe that's okay for the type of strength that this build has. It should be no problem because the boss is going to die like immediately anyway. So that could actually be better at this point.
Ravage and ransack. Don't give up so early.
If I use the helmet that's not this helmet, and I use the one that has pure energy shield on it, I actually end up having like 5,600 energy shield. And by changing that helmet that says it has only 500 and something energy shield, I go from 5,600, probably more than that, 5,800 down to 3,800. It's such a big difference. However, the damage increase I get from this helmet is absolutely astronomical. So playing squishy is actually preferable for me. But you might not want that. You might want to be like more impervious and be able to have a lot more wiggle room with getting hit and taking damage and shit. Alright, so out of these three, I don't want to get poisoned by the enemies. I've experimented with that recently. Lowering my resistances doesn't ever feel like that big of a deal. The Bloody Hearts is a little annoying because they appear when you try to get out of them. You get a very mild stun. But I would say that that's better because my resistances aren't really over the cap. I would say that's better. So here's what we're going to do. Summon the ads. Okay. Summon them. And now switch back. And now come back here again. Bring up the ads again. And now, boss is going to come down. I'm going to cast Infernal Kite twice and do this. Dead. That's how you do the Flicker Strike properly.
Impressive. Normally, challengers don't survive those.
Out of this one, I don't mind the globule dropping an AoE on the floor. It's very avoidable. I'll take that one.
Slay them all.
And we have that gorgeous ring of power charges and endurance charges on us. Aesthetically, it's so beautiful.
Could hardly call that a challenge.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end. I'm not sure I don't want the enemies to give me flash charges. The Bloody Hearts now will make you a little vulnerable to damage after they stun you. Or the enemies are protected by Energy Shield. I find this makes no difference whatsoever. Enemies are all going to get nuked exactly the same way they were.
Chaos demands sacrifice. Almost there. Keep it up.
If the boss is doing more damage, we're talking about that. I think it's going to matter. And take less damage, that's not going to matter. We're going to do that.
Understandable if you're a little tired, but the trial yet continues.
I find that with this build, this doesn't do anything. It says buffs expire 3 times faster, but the power charge buffs do not expire faster, and the charge staff buff does not expire faster. And then it says debuffs expire 3 times slower, and that could be a thing, but out of the 3 of these, you taking up to 50% more damage, 1% per second, and you not being able to slow or stun the enemies, I would go for the buffs expiring, since I don't really see my buffs expiring faster. Just debuffs enemies do on you, which you're going to be killing stuff fast enough, you shouldn't have to worry about that anyway.
Now this is starting to get fun.
I'd rather have Rings of Doom, the inside or the outside is safe, than have the Petrify statues.
I can practically see your ego swelling. They strike for the heart.
I'll take the 300% increased critical chance on the boss. The boss is not going to do anything. It's just going to die. That's why I'm doing this build instead of the other builds that I have access to, because I want the bosses to die like that.
Fate is on my side.
And there's some really other good options out there for you. Yesterday, somebody was nice enough to take all this time to show me what he's using, and he absolutely slams with the build. But he has hundreds more crit damage on his build than I have on mine. And it's actually a little bit of work to build up what you need to build up, because you have to get power charges with combo point stacks, but then you gotta get your combo point stacks back after you get your power charges. And the amount of time that takes to do that in comparison to what I did to kill these bosses here, my brain doesn't want to have to go through pressing the wrong button, so I need everything to just be over really quickly without having to do...
Yes?
I wouldn't say complicated, because 3 buttons is not really complicated. 3, 4 buttons, you know? But this one right here is the least complicated build that I can think of in this game for me. A lot of it, too, is what do you have, like, in your subconscious? What have you played the longest? Some people play other builds better because they were playing that build for a long time, and they know the build so well, they make the build look really, really, really good. So the game is really about you finding the build for you specifically.
Hail.
And for me, my ass flicker nuke is the best.
Have an order?
Short for assault flicker nuke. And 23 divines.
I'll post it
for
right
that.
away.
Boom. It's all about getting the money to get the better stuff. And I am up to 187 divines. I need 410 divines to get
Have an order?
something that makes the flicker strike significantly better. I will show you what it is. It is called Ringwald's Furiosity. Oh, no, sorry. I'm an idiot. That's not what it is. It's, where is it? What is it called? That was the one I needed for the other build. That hammer of the god build that guy uses, that I could not get his build to work. You have to have, like, fucking mirrors out your ass to fucking get that build to work. What the hell is it again? It's, this is it. No, that's not it. Can't remember the name. God damn it. Where is it? You know, if I really like builds and shit, I should probably have the shit memorized, what the fuck I'm supposed to be looking for, right? You would think that I would know the name of what it is that I needed that was so expensive. Oh, here it is. Oh, that's not it. Fuck, I keep thinking that's it. There is, Okay, hold on a second. Which support gem bifurcates critical strike? It's Garukin's Resolve. You have to have high crit chance for this to work, but Garukin's Resolve is the name of it. Where are you? There it is. Okay. Maximum critical hit chance with supported skill is 50%. So, let's say you have yourself at 100% crit chance. That would bring you down to 50% crit chance. However, the attack critical hit chance with supported skills bifurcates. Now, what does that do? Hits with this weapon roll against their crit hit chance twice when determining if they are a critical hit. If either roll succeeds, the hit will be a crit hit, and thus critical damage bonus will apply as normal. If both rolls succeed, the hit will be a critical hit, and the crit damage bonus will apply twice to that hit. It doubles your crit damage bonus if 1 out of 2 blinks, 1 out of 2 flickers. If a modifier makes your critical hit chance lucky, that luck will apply individually to both the rolls. So this ends up giving you twice as much critical hit damage half the time, which is a really big deal for a Flicker Strike burn on a boss. It is a really big deal. The crit damage on my Flicker Strike right now, where is it? Critical damage bonus is 601 on my Flicker Strike. So that will jump to 1200% increased critical strike damage. That's why that gem is so fucking expensive. And I was going to show that to you. And I'll show it to you now. 401 divines for one of them. So, I don't even have a piece of gear that I spent 400 divines on. So this is a big deal. That's the next step for me, I think, is get the divines up to 400. I'm at 187, and then boom, get that and see the glorious ability to kill any boss in one Flicker Strike. Any boss. That's the idea. Thank you for watching, everybody. This build is a build in progress. I have so many things that can be changed to make myself better. I don't need any maximum life on anything anymore. I don't need any stats on anything anymore, like intelligence or dexterity or strength. I don't need any of that anymore. So all of these items that have either maximum life on it or have stat increase, like strength, dexterity, or intelligence, can all be replaced with a better item with better modifiers to replace those. So this build is ready to be upgraded on many fronts. There's a better pair of gloves. There's a better ring here. If the item doesn't have any added physical damage, it would be better to have, instead of fire and cold, one of those to be added physical damage on it. So there's just a lot that I can do with this build to make it even stronger. And that's basically the idea. Get a character that can farm so good for you that you can just get the money to be able to make any other build that you want, such as that hammer build where he drops the hammer and runs around and just kills everything everywhere in one hit. That's an amazing build. I wish I could have that, where you use the bone spikes to actually move yourself around the screen because your attack speed is so fucking fast. You just like blip around the screen and shit, like wig out and shit. That looks great, but I just can't do it. So we'll have to go ahead and get to that point. You see how there's a exclamation mark here that's red? It's telling me I don't qualify for these skills, but that's because this helmet is making them require no attributes. But the game still thinks, hey, you don't have enough attributes for the skills. It's very funny. Thank you again for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. This is Worst Nightmare. Remember to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll go ahead and answer them as best I can. I'm no genius. I do copy of other people's builds, but I also make it my own when it doesn't work for me. And so far, this is my favorite character by far. I love the werewolf build that I had. I know you've seen other videos with me with that. I like the frozen invoker build where I'm running around hitting things with the frosties, but it just wasn't killing things good enough with the setup that I had, with the gear that I had, so I needed to make adjustments. All right. Thank you again. I'll see you guys later.